Hi, Superstats. I just wanted to start with something I neglected to put in the slideshow yesterday. So these are the calculator keystrokes here, chi-squared, CDF, and our lower bound is always 0. This was our chi-square value from yesterday, and we had 1 degree of freedom. This is what the calculator returned to me. And then because we're in the upper tail on the right side, it's always a 1 minus. So this was the p-value, and at this level, we did have significant evidence against the null. And we could say that there is association between the fright symptoms and the gender. But today we're going to move on and try another example. So today's the 24th of March. We're going to pick up with this example. It says market researchers suspect that background music may affect the mood and buying behavior of customers. One study in a supermarket compared 3 randomly assigned treatments: no music, French accordion music, and Italian string music. Under each condition, the researchers recorded the number of bottles in French, Italian, and other wine purchased. Here is a table that summarizes the data. So keep in mind that the explanatory variable is listed across the columns at the top. So the music is our explanatory variable. And then this is what was observed. And you can see we had 243 samples. So to begin, we're going to calculate the percentages based on the explanatory variable. So again, that's going to be based on music totals. We're going to start with no music playing here, and then French wine was purchased. So if you look at that, it's 30 from the table out of 84. So about 36% bought French wine when there was no music playing in the background. And then moving on to no music and Italian wine, about 13%. And then other types of wine is about 51%. You can see that these percentages do add up to 100% in the no music column. Now we're going to look at the French music. So what I did is I went through and made everything out of 75. That's how many people bought wine when French music was playing. So again, it was just what they recorded from the table, 39 out of 75 here in French and French. Italian wine with French music was 1, and other wine when French music was playing was 35. And again, these percentages all add up to 100%. We'll do the same thing with the Italian music playing. So there's your percentages. And again, we have 100% in this column as well. So all these percentages are based on the explanatory variable, which is the type of music playing. Typically what we'll do then is after calculating all the percentages, we'll make a graphical display. This should already be pre-printed in your notes for you. So you can see at the top, the music was none, and this graph does match the percentages we calculated. The second graph is for the French music, and the third graph is for the Italian music. Does this tell us anything? Maybe you see some challenges. It doesn't look like Italian wine is purchased as frequently. Doesn't matter what kind of music is playing. It does look like maybe French wine or the other category is more prevalent. But ultimately, this doesn't really provide enough evidence to say that there's an association just yet. So what we'll do is we'll run a chi-square test to see if there is a relationship between the type of music playing and the type of wine purchased. So we're going to go through and calculate all the expected cell counts. We'll walk you through the first one in none, and then the other answers will start to pop up more frequently. Just know you can pause the video at any time if you want to calculate these on your own and see if we match. And if I make a mistake, just shoot me an email. So under the none category, remember we want to use our row totals and our column totals to help with the calculation. So I filled those in. So our row total is 99 multiplied by our column total of 84, and we're going to divide by the total number of observations, 243. So we're expecting to see about 34.22 purchases when no music is playing, French wine is bought. We're going to go through and look at none in Italian and none and other. So again, row total times column total divided by the grand total. So these are the expected cell counts for each of these joint distributions. We're going to move on to the French music and the types of wine. All three results are going to pop up at the same time. Here we go. So there's your three expected cell counts. And we'll do the same thing with the Italian music, all three expected counts. Remember, if you see a large difference between what's observed and the calculated expected cell count, that's usually an indication that we're going to have a larger chi-square value, which will put us in the upper end of the tail of the distribution. So now we're going to go through the full calculation to determine if there's a relationship. So we're going to start here with our null and alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis says there's no association. That's pretty normal, but we want to write it in words. So we're going to say there is no association between type of music playing and wine purchased. The alternative says that there is an association. So again, we're going to write it in words. And the example doesn't really specify the value of alpha, so we're going to set it at 0.05. All right, so chi-square is a sum of all the differences divided by expected cell count. So I'm starting with the first cell. This is no music and the French wine. And then I'm going to go down the column of no music. So this will be no music and Italian wine, and no music and other wine. Now I'm going to move on to the next column. So this is the French music playing in the background. So that's French music and French wine, French music and Italian wine, and French music and other wine. And then we'll move into the last column with the Italian music playing. So that's Italian music and French wine, Italian music and Italian wine, and Italian music and other wine. This calculation is a little more tedious than the last example we tried because there are 9 joint cells that need calculation. So now I'm going to convert all of these into equivalent decimals. And again, you can pause the video if you want to try it yourself. And I've tried to color code them to match. So here we go. There's all your decimal equivalents. So what we're going to do is try to determine if there's a relationship or if we have evidence against the null. So after I add up all those equivalent decimals, I have a chi-square value of 18.2792. That is fairly large. I'm really far to the right of the distribution. Before we can put this into the iPad, I'm going to need to know the degrees of freedom. So my table is a 3 by 3. So to calculate the degrees of freedom, it's rows minus 1 and columns minus 1. So 2 times 2 will give me 4 degrees of freedom. This will help normalize the table a little bit or the distribution. So on the calculator, you're going to find the chi-square CDF key. Lower bound is always 0. There's my chi-square value, and I have 4 for degrees of freedom, resulting in 0.998912. And again, we'll have to do a 1 minus. So my p-value is pretty small when you compare it to alpha 0.05. And at this point, what I'll do is I'll make a conclusion that we do have significant evidence at alpha 0.05 to conclude that there is an association between the type of music playing and the type of wine purchased. This is where we'll stop today. We have 2 homework problems, 9.25 and 9.26. I did attach them in case you don't have a book at home. It looks like I have data to send you here, or if you feel comfortable just entering the data in yourself, you can do that. Remember, if you have questions, please call me at home or text or call me on my cell, or you can shoot me an email. So this will be Tuesday's lesson, March 24th. Try to keep up with the homework every day so that when we do go back to school, you have everything completed and you're ready to go. Have a great day.